and Jacques a scientist in France, and Joe a teacher in America. They talked of their peaceful work, unaware of the rising voice of fascism.
Now, here you can see at a glance how the scientists of all nations have contributed to every great development. For instance, we can thank a Frenchman, Louis Pasteur, who first isolated the germ as a cause of infection.
But Louis Pasteur's discovery would have been meaningless without the work of an Englishman, Lister, who developed the theory of antisepsis and showed how to kill the germs Pasteur had found.
It was an American who first used anesthetics to relieve pain.
The work of Pavlov in Russia opened new doors to scientists everywhere in the world.
A Canadian, Sir Frederick Banting, discovered insulin.
Radium was discovered by a Frenchman, Curie, and his wife, a Pole.
And when we use these discoveries, do we think of nationality? Certainly not. Science, like religion, belongs to humanity, to every man, woman, and child on earth. Consider for a moment the work of two great Germans, Albert Einstein and Paul Ehrlich.
Two names we have forbidden. They belong to an inferior race. Our superior science denies the ridiculous assumption that all men are created equal. Our science proves that there is a master race, the German Aryans, tall, blond, and powerful. They are the natural masters of world production. It is the duty of all other races to supply us with raw materials. As there is a ruling race, so must there be a ruling class. We in Germany have abolished the sterile institutions of democracy which strangled us. To assert our scientific right to rule the world, we must wipe out the inferior peoples by every means. By death, by sterilization, by slavery. Who is to stop us? The Russians? Cattle who will never understand the exercise of military power. The French, for the most part, a decadent people. We have friends among them who appreciate our position. Pierre Laval, Jacques Doriot, the British, we have friends there too. When the time comes, our friends will point to Russia. The British will fight, but not against us. The Americans, a joke. Our friends there will convince the Americans too that the real enemy is Russia. And we have made certain arrangements with the rulers of Japan. For too long we have waited. For too long we have taken the leavings of the world. Who has oppressed us? Who has starved us? Humiliated us? Who has stood in our way? It has been the peoples of democracy and revolution. I speak of Russia, China, England, the United States, and France. France. 4 times in 150 years, we have been forced to discipline the French nation.
Yes, 4 times in 150 years, German militarists have forced Jacques to take up arms in defense of his country.
1792, 1814, 1870, 1914. I remember very well.
In 1914, Kaiser Wilhelm hurled his armies against France, and Jacques remembers the answer of the French people.
The Marne, the taxi cab army, Verdun, Chemin des Dames, Clemenceau. Foch. Joffre. The workers. The peasants. Guynemer. And you, Tommy. Lloyd George. Haig. The old contemptibles. Ypres. Passchendaele. The Somme. And you, Joe. President Wilson. Black Jack Pershing. Chateau Thierry. The Marines at Bellewood. The Argonne. Together we beat them. Together we march to the Rhine.
You lie! We were never beaten. We were betrayed by socialists and Democrats. Our army was still intact. This time it will be different. This will be the final time. Now, once and for all, we will wipe out even the memory of your revolution, and the American, and the British, and the Russian, the memory of the storming of the Bastille, of the Declaration of Independence, of the Magna Carta, of the Declaration of the Rights of Man, the three French republics, the most dangerous slogan known to Europe, liberty, equality, fraternity. Now, for 1,000 years, we will decide the fate of the world. For 1,000 years, you will know the superiority of the German race. We will teach you with dive bombers and tanks, and with our invincible armies. Hail to the new order! Hail to the super race!
Ago that this happened to France, to the land that belongs to Jacques. He knows how long a time 4 years can be. But during that time, though the Germans occupied his country, Jacques, or men like him, found ways to keep on fighting beside Tommy and Joe. Let's go back a bit and suppose that this American, this Joe, had been in the Air Force, and this Englishman, this Tommy, in the RAF. And suppose they had been shot down over France.